So now if we move on to the hats and percussion, firstly, I've made a little rhythmic loop out of some Foley recordings here. So I just have a load of different recordings chopped up in the EXS24, which is this Logic sampler. And it means I can pull them up quickly when I'm making a beat. This one is like the sound of someone typing or a typewriter, but you can get all these nice little variations. So if I just play you through some of them, they're all quite different. And so when you then program them, they sound pretty natural. I've added a bit of reverb here to soften them a bit. So if you hear it here without, again, not that exciting. This is just Logic's Space Designer. They've got some really nice natural room sounds on there. So if you go to the presets, you can see you've got a load of different room recordings. So if we try Drum Booth 1, for example, and then I'll just adjust the wet sound here to taste. So you can see, so generally I'd probably usually have it about minus 10 dB or so. Generally with the reverb on drums, I'll use enough so that it glues everything together, but not so much that you can actually hear it in the mix. Then I've got the main hat. This is just a simple hat. You'll see here that I've bussed the signal out to a delay. This is the Ownboys delay, which is a great little delay plugin. I use it a lot. I really like the interface. It's easy to use and you can kind of quickly achieve what you want to achieve without fiddling around too much. And then I've automated that bus so that the delay increases in intensity. Again, this just helps to add to the human feel of the drums so the loop doesn't become too boring. So I'll just show you how I've done that. It's not actually drawn in. I think that's on another one, but I'll show you. You can so you can see it just kind of helps create a little interest. I'll also do this with reverb. So if I show you how I do it with reverb, for example, I will usually use so if I just set up a bus here, so we'll just go to a random bus and I'll put the Valhalla vintage verb on this. So if I send a bit to the signal to the bus, you can hear that you're getting the reverb here. But then what you can do is a nice little effect. Is vary the amount of reverb you're hearing in the mix. So for example, if we just go here, you'll hear that it changes ever so slightly, but again, just kind of helps to create that human feel. Then I've layered this hat with a thicker sounding hat just to give everything a bit more crunch. Again, that's just a sample off an old vinyl, I think, that I've then bounced down. And then finally, I've got a loop running. I've recorded on a snare drum using brushes. There's not much processing going on here either, really, but I've taken everything out. Again, below 200 hertz to keep it clean. And then I've sidechained this here to the kick drum. So if we just put the kick drum on so you can see what it's doing. So every time the kick drum plays, it's ducking the snare drum loop. Just makes the rhythm bounce a bit more. I've got a preset that I've made for sidechain, so I can quickly do this and get a vibe going without too much messing around. I find this kind of setting generally works pretty nicely, about 0.7 on the knee, an attack of usually about 10 to 20 milliseconds, and a release of usually 50 to 100 milliseconds. And then with the threshold here, you can adjust that to taste. So that basically determines how pumping you want the sound. So if you see here, we go more extreme and go down to minus 50 dB. You can hear that we're kind of losing the loop there, but think about here is right. If you listen without it, it sounds cool, but I think the sidechain just kind of adds some groove. And so that's the hat. So if we listen to the hats, snares and kicks together,